thank you for coming, all 11 of you. But we're starting, right? The other people probably gave up, and you know what? Thank you for your perseverance. So what's happening is we're going to talk about why we're here. And the introduction to the evening is, the reason that I put this on is because so many people all the time ask me, Fiona, what is an SMSF? How can I do it? I want to get an investment property, but I can't afford it because our mortgage repayments are so high. So what do we do? So I thought tonight's the night. I've got Paul from WealthKey Property, and I have Mark from Wealth Success. So hi guys.
Hello.
Thank you. We survived. I'm so excited.
Thanks for having us.
Anyway, thank you for coming along, and hopefully we'll get more people. Are the numbers picking up? Okay, excellent. We're up to 35. No, I'm kidding. So funny. Now I'm going to try and stay in the screen there. Move it across so I can see Mark's head as well. I don't want to see it.
There's a whole internet universe out there just waiting for this information.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Okay, so most of you online at the moment know about me. I've been a broker for a long time. I do a lot of refinances, home loans, investment properties. Love that stuff. And SMSF has become huge of late because, as I said, people can't seem to afford an investment property in their own name because it stretches the family budget. So this is where we look at using your super to help you purchase your property. Now, a little introduction for Paul. Paul, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, a little bit. I was a financial planner for 20 years, from 2000 to 2020, and started this property strategy business in 2015 alongside that. So I'm no longer licensed as a financial planner, but I know enough to be dangerous. I'm also,
that line.
I do love that line.
Dangerous.
And Mark will sort of wrap me over the knuckles later if I get anything wrong. But I'm a multi-property investor. I invest in property in my superannuation fund as well. And my business, I'm rebuilding post-divorce. So I'm rebuilding my property portfolio and financial world. And I work with single people, young people that are priced out of the Sydney market, families, people that want to grow their wealth and then bust down their mortgage, or people that are looking to replace their income. So that's where I fit in, but you'll learn a little bit more about me later on.
Okay, now hi to the people that have just joined. Sorry we had a bit of a technical hitch earlier on, and thank you for sticking it out. We just introduced myself and Paul, the buyer's agent, and Mark, it's over to you.
Thank you. It's good to see some familiar faces, and thank you, Fiona, for setting this all up. And it's so self-managed super fund is one of those important topics that I really like. A little bit about me for those that don't know. Born in South Africa, migrated to Australia. This is home. I really love being here, and I love helping Australians. A little bit about me. I love sports. Family man, got 2 kids. One in uni and one just about to go into year 11. So the household is a bit stressful, but we love it. It keeps us going. Thank you.
Keeps us on our toes. It's stressed, doesn't it,
guys?
It
does.
Just love it. We love it. So now, basically, what is an SMSF? Okay, now an SMSF lending allows an SMSF to borrow money to purchase within. SMSF lending allows the SMSF to borrow money to purchase an investment borrowing under the limited recourse borrowing arrangement. Okay, that's LRBA. Mark, please explain. What on earth did I just say? What did I just say?
So thanks, Fiona. Let me first start off by saying what a self-managed super fund is. A lot of times we like to use the acronym SMSF, and that's what I mean, self-managed super fund. But really, it's just another type of super fund that allows members, like investors, trustees, as we call them, to have and to gain more control over their retirement savings. So the reason why I love it is because it gives you, the investors, the members, the ability to be able to have control over your retirement savings in the way that you'd like to manage it, in the way that you would like to invest it.
And you can see it appreciate as well, can't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I like it very much. It gives a lot of my clients the ability to feel that they're in control and they have that front foot in a way that they can be able to make their retirement, one, plausible but achievable. So going back to your question, Fiona, in terms of LRBA, which is the limited recourse borrowing.
Yeah.
A little bit of history started in 2007 due to the SIS Act, and that allowed, superannuation to be able to borrow funds to be able to use those funds to purchase investment property. So a very exciting initiative, and that's how the LRBA came about.
LRBA. Now, I'm actually scared to change screens because I think that if I show the screen that Mark has for me, his beautiful PowerPoint, all about bear trusts and holding trusts, and that actually is what the loan, the SMSF property is held in. It's held in a bear trust, otherwise known as a holding trust. Now, Mark, without a screen, can you explain it without a present? I'm going to try and maybe get it together. But explain how the SMSF structure is for everybody, please, in simple terms, because I know it's very complicated, but we need to make it simple so it's easy for everybody.
Yeah, not a problem. The Bear Trust is a legal entity. It's the title, it's a holder that owns the property, but it's on behalf of the SMSF. So the SMSF is the beneficial owner. Basically, what it does is it allows the SMSF to be able to purchase a property, an investment property, on behalf of the SMSF. The investors, individual trustees or corporate trustees, are the ones that are going to be the guarantors for that loan. But in simple terms, the Bear Trust facilitates the purchase of that investment property.
Okay, yeah. So the SMSF trustees and the fund, the company owns the trust, and the people are the trustees of the trust, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Is that right? Did I get that right? Does everyone get that? I'm just confused myself now. Did I explain that right? I think I made it more confusing, actually.
No,
I'm just looking for the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you keep talking. Find another way to explain it. Mark, Paul, if you have a question, ask away while I get this up.
I think that, I mean, at the heart of it, Mark, and Fiona, you're running your own super fund, which is like, it's a trust structure, it's your own company, and that company is allowed to borrow money if it services a loan. If Fiona says yes, bank says yes, she sorts that out, which means that, there's a slide, but that means that your super can borrow money to hold a property, which is, really great because you get that leverage, don't you, Mark? And you instead of having, say, 100,000 in super, you can have a $500,000 property, and that's working towards people's retirement, which is what you touched on earlier.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. And with that, the ability of the Bear Trust that allows you to be able to purchase an asset that's going to appreciate over time.
And can everybody see that link, that screen up there, SMSF structure?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so that's what Mark's been talking the structure, the individual and corporate trustees, the SMSF is over here, and the property is down the bottom, right? Yeah. Now, okay, well, great. So I'll just leave that there, and I'll ask you the next question. So, you put the structure up. Okay. Now, when you're setting up a self-managed super fund, does an accountant do it, or does a financial planner do it, or can both do it? Which is better, do you think?
Yeah, Fiona, that's one of the questions I get a lot, because a financial planner is going to be able to, one, get to know the client. In other words, after they've done a fact find, they're going to be able to understand what their goals, what their objectives are, and be able to apply a strategy that's going to be best applicable for them, whether that is a self-managed super fund and acquiring assets like property.
Yeah.
An accountant can help to also set up a SMSF.
Yeah.
But they can't give financial advice.
Yeah,
So come back to your question, a financial advisor is going to be your best one to be able to talk to. But again, you see a lot of the accountants and the financial planners working together.
Yeah, and you'd need to. So what do you think about that? Do you agree with that, Paul?
I do. I think there can be a place for both, but at its heart, what do I say to clients? It's your money, your future. So what the whole key to this whole setup, while it looks all complex and there's lots of structures and boxes on page, you need collaboration. You need to build your team around you, whoever that is. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So there's a couple of things that I encourage my clients to look for. One is character. So you've got to be working with people you like, nice people, right? But the other is competence. They've got to know what they're doing. And some financial planners, Mark, you would have come across them in your career, and then also accountants will steer people away from perfectly good structures because they don't have the competence, they don't have the experience, they don't have the skills, and it's all too hard for them. So part of the what's great about Fiona putting this night on is that you can have a bit more information and you can start to build your team around you.
Yeah.
So there's three things really. So when you're collaborating, you need the character, you need the competence, but you need people that are really willing communicators. So if Mark and I are working together on a deal, we're not trying to work against each other. We're including the client in the conversation,
Yeah.
and then Fiona for the lending. And if you've got a good team collaborating for you, then you can start to make some good decisions for your own future. So that's my take on it, Fiona.
Yeah, I think that if you have an accountant that you work with that already knows all of your financials that you work closely with, then get a financial planner to do the statement of advice. But if you don't have one, wouldn't it be easier just to go to a financial planner because he does it all? Would you think that? I think that.
Yeah, look, I do want to piggyback off what Paul said. I echo what Paul was just saying about a team. Definitely you want to work within a team. I like this trusted team that sits on my left and my right in the fact that we're able to bounce certain ideas off each other. I'm no expert in terms of mortgage and I'm no expert in terms of property. And so I'm going to bounce those ideas off experts to my left and my right.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
I agree, Paul.
Yeah. So the broker's role is to find and arrange the SMSF loan only. All right. We cannot provide financial advice, only general advice. That is why you need to go to a financial planner to get your specific advice. Now let's talk tax benefits, which is so my favorite part. Now, rental income and capital gains tax. Now, what I love, and it's taken me a few years to like SMSF, but even those 4 letters used to freak me out when I started off being a broker years ago. But now I love it. So the couple of benefits that I've found that I tell my clients as well, actually, which is great, is if you purchase a property for 400 grand, okay, now, and you retire in 20 years and it's worth 700 grand, then you've made 300,000 capital, you've made 300 grand growth, right? You've made profit of 300,000. Well, if you sell that when you retire, you have to have retired, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. If you sell it when you retire, that money goes back into your super. You don't pay capital gains tax, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful. Oh my God. And the other bonus, the other good thing that I like about purchasing a property in your super is if you're paying off with my clients, and other brokers may do it differently, but when I have clients with self-managed super fund properties or loans, I like them to pay principal and interest because I want them to pay down this property as quickly as they can with their super and help from the rent, right? As opposed to interest only like my investor clients, I think it's a great idea. So you pay your property off as much as you can. And when you retire and your property's paid out, you can live off that rent tax-free. Correct?
Correct.
Beautiful. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Honestly.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So, Mark, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Look, just, you pretty much, I'd say, hit the nail on the head there, Fiona, but something I just want to re-emphasize and just reiterate that tax within your super is taxed at 15%. And I think a lot of people forget that.
Concessional rate, right? That's what they call concessional rate. Yeah.
And a lot of people tend to ask me that question. And I think, we get bogged down to all the different terms, technical arts and jargons that we often hear. But if we bring it down just to the basics, superannuation taxed at 15%. And if you've got assets that are in your SMSF, and let's say it's held for more than 12 months, you're going to get a discount on that as well. So I won't get too technical, but
it's not,
Fiona, you're totally right in the fact that it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I'm speaking about concessional rates. Now we're going to talk about concessional contributions. Okay, now your employer contributes 11.5% towards your super, correct? And soon, 1st of July, it's going up to 12%, which is a beautiful thing. And the annual limit that an employer can contribute is 30K per year, correct? Beautiful.
Correct.
So, which leads us perfectly to our next slide, because I just have it right there. I'm so excited that it's flowing. Mark, can you tell us the difference between the concessional contribution and the non-concessional contribution?
Yeah, no problems, Fiona. I think, again, this is probably a question that I get a lot in terms of, Mark, what's the difference? But also, Mark, how much can I contribute? And again, let's start off with what you see on the screen, concessional contributions. Those are generally, I'd say, superannuation guarantee contributions, employer contributions that have been mandated by, I'd say, government to be able to put into your personal superannuation, whether it's SMSF or an industry fund. The current rate at the moment is 11.5%, but as Fiona mentioned, on the 1st of July, that will be changing. So, which I think is probably overdue. Our lifestyle changes, our expenses increase, and by no means should our contributions also for our retirement one day. As you can also see on the screen, we do have a limit, and this is why we are to emphasize, have a chat to your financial planner in regards to how much can I be contributing. As you can see on the screen, 30,000 is the cap as a concessional contribution. So to have a chat, take into account obviously your circumstances and seeing what's best for you. But make note that there is a cap on that concessional contribution.
And that's with the 15% tax rate.
That's exactly right, Fiona. Yeah. So I'd say people also need to remind themselves that there is a tax rate on contributions coming into your super. Exactly. But I'll mention the non-concessional contribution, which a lot of people tend to forget as well, Fiona, and that is, you can make contributions outside of the concessional contributions. That is contributions after you've already paid tax on that. And because of that, those contributions are not going to be charged with tax. So again, these are contributions that are
at the higher rate, you mean?
Yeah.
Not at the, like at 47%, it would be 15%, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'd said, and that cap on that non-concessional is 120,000. So again, I'd said a lot of people don't realize it, don't know that you can actually put in money into your super.
120K in 1 year.
That's
so if I received an inheritance of 250K, I could put 120K this year and 120K next year.
That's correct. That's correct.
Cool.
And again, I won't get too technical, but I'd say there's some people who have received inheritance or have sold a property, but want to be able to reduce their tax, but also want to know how to reduce that. And, super contributions is a fantastic way to make that possible. Again, later discussion, but yes, and I think it's a really important slide that, we can talk about more.
I might just comment on that too, if I could just come in and say, Mark, that whole thing, people might be going, well, I can't, it's not necessarily regular contributions. I can't just, pull 120,000 out of thin air. But as Fiona said, if it's the sale of the house, the redundancy, an inheritance, then this is where strategic advice is really, really important. Making those tax plays into the low tax environment, and also building your future wealth as you get from your 30s to 40s to 50s and beyond is really important to build those advice relationships.
Yeah, for sure. So
and the government will keep changing the rules, but there's an election coming out. I'm not talking politics.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate that, don't we, guys?
You're most welcome.
No politics today. Okay, now, Paul, can you share with us your experience? Because was it 2022 you started shifting with your SMSF and you started making things happen? So I'm just going to share the screen because I can do it.
If you can work out how to share my slides, I'm going to do cartwheels. Yeah, there you go.
Are we here? Oh, I'm nearly there.
Can people see that?
Can you see that, guys? It's just got to move over. I can't move it over. Oh, wait, again. Yes, I can. Oh.
There we go.
Oh my God, what a legend.
All right,
Okay,
let's
so
start
there's
it.
Paul, there's Paulie. There you go. Starting balance, 300K,
I'm
right?
going to move pretty quickly here, but I'll just get you to buzz through these slides, and we won't get too bogged down in the numbers, but I mean, obviously, you can catch up with me, Fiona, or Mark at another time. But my starting balance in June 2022 was $300,000 in my super, and I was rebuilding my financial world at that time. And I thought to myself, well, I can have $300,000 potentially going up and down with the share market and a little bit sitting in cash, or I can use that 300,000 to start a self-managed superannuation fund. And Mark touched on this before. It's self-managed, but it's really self-directed. You've got advisors managing it for you. And I can potentially hold 800,000 or $1 million worth of property. And if the right property grows at about the same rate as the share market, then I'd rather have $1 million growing by 10% than 300,000 going up and down. Yeah, just buzz through if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of properties here that I purchased. They're both around 400,000. One was in Perth, one was in regional New South Wales. So if we just focus maybe on the last slide, that might be easier. But sorry, the last column, beg your pardon.
Oh
Fiona.
no, Paul. Look at all these
yeah,
pretty houses back up
my
here.
words, yeah. All right, so what I did, I bought two properties, one in November 23, one in June 22, total 790,000. Now they've grown nicely. They're combined worth $1.13 million now. And out of my super fund, out of that 300 grand starting balance, I had to put 20% deposit in. And
each property.
Each property,
yep.
Yep. So the $430,000 property, I had to put an $86,000 deposit in. And then with stamp duty and fees, other bits and pieces, it was $30,000, about 7%. So $116,000 to control a $430,000 property. But the beautiful thing is that if you buy the right property in the right area, it grows, and that property is now worth $670,000. So it cost me $213,000 to buy $790,000 worth of property.
Yeah, exactly right.
And if you just scroll down to just a little bit,
bit more.
So yeah, so you'll see the loans on those, and my strategy differs a little bit to Fiona. I am going interest only, but there's specific reasons for that, and the rent's growing. But I purchased 790,000 worth of property. I still had cash and shares remaining at the start of 87,000. And so I was controlling $877,000 worth of assets in my super fund, and that's grown. The debts remain the same, and I've got rent and shares. So if we go down to the next slide, I think people might be interested in what the properties look like. And I buy.
So this isn't like a 2-bedroom apartment. This is a house and land.
This is nice. Yeah. I buy affordable properties, and we've got a whole research team to read the market, but it's a 3-bedder. The land size is 735 metres. It's not too far from the water on the south side of Perth, this one. And you can just see it's
and that was 430K, that one.
430,000. The starting rent was, I think, I can't remember now. It's in the numbers there somewhere.
Yeah.
But the rent's grown significantly too. So I mean, the thing I love about this property, it's a corner block, and it's got a shed. I just love a shed.
What man doesn't love a shed?
But also, if you're going into high ownership areas and you've got a shed, you attract tradies, you attract families with caravans and boats, and they're very rentable. So you might just scroll down, and then there's another property that I bought in regional New South Wales. That's on 800 of land, and you can see I've just done a Google map there, and that was
360, was that?
360,000. It's worth 460 now. I didn't buy that till November 2023. So it's on the map there. It says, or on the mud map or the floor plan, it says 4-bedroom, but technically it's a 3-bedroom plus study. The 4th bedroom doesn't have a built-in wardrobe, and it's got multiple doors and that sort of thing. But
and these are the kind of properties that you sell as a buyer's agent, right? Where you find
I buy them. Yeah. So that's right. Yeah. So if you just scroll down, I won't take up a
Yeah.
hell of a lot more time, but I
Yeah.
just want to give you the results so far. So, um, current values there, holding time on property one was 32 months. It's grown by 55%.
Just under 3 years.
Grown by $240,000. Holding time on the property two was 16 months. That's grown by 100,000 or so. It's grown by 27%. So they're fairly typical results for what we're doing for clients. And then you'll see the 430 purchase is getting $530 a week rent now, and the 360 purchase is getting $410 a week. But I've just approved a $20 a week increase. So if I was to sell those properties off, get rid of the loans, I would put $513,000 back into my super fund. And to Mark and Fiona's point before, yes, if I wait till retirement, it will be tax free. But if I sell now while I'm still in what they call accumulation phase, right?
Yeah.
The tax on that is only 10%. So if you just scroll down just a smidgen, Fiona. Yeah, so if so the way I see it is that you know, for the cash that I've put in, the 213,000, I've got 340 grand in growth, which is about 62%. And then the numbers and the data just don't lie. But if I was to sell all those off and go, you know what, I just want to put, you know, I just want
extra money in my super.
I just want to put it in cash or shares or whatever. The tax on the gains would only be around 30 grand. Yeah, so if you just scroll down, I think I've only got one slide left. People will ask about holding costs. And the really wonderful thing, which Fiona touched on right at the beginning of the meeting, was that not 1 cent out of my family budget goes towards holding these properties. The first property was soaking up about 400 a month out of the cash or the contributions that I'm putting in, and that'll get to cash neutral sooner rather than later. So that's a real advantage for families to be able to control that larger asset base. If you just scroll down a little bit more, so as Mark was saying before, 11.5% going to 12%. But if you're earning $100,000, you've got 11.5 going in. And then I think I've got just one more slide, Fiona, and then I'll stop holding the microphone. But you know I love to do. If you can scroll me down.
I'm getting
right. So where to here? I'm not selling these two properties. But if the cycle peaks out, I may consider selling one to buy another two. But my current position is that I've got $1,130,000 in property, plus I've got flat cash, plus I've got rent and regular contributions, plus I've got shares, and the overall results are 45% capital growth.
So just 1 second, Paul, on that.
Yep.
So the shares within the SMSF fund that are out investing somewhere else, right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you do very well,
and that's where
Yeah.
someone like Mark can advise you on what that share portfolio needs to look like, and any cash reserves and those sorts of things. I think I've run out of steam, haven't I, Fiona?
Yeah. Oh, you've done great, actually. Have we got?
Oh no, is there one more slide? Oh, common
questions.
All right, which I mean I can take offline. What type of property should I buy and why?
Yeah, these are these could go on for ages, these ones.
Yeah, that's right. What's your research and area selection? Yes, we've got one. How do I formulate a strategy that'll work for me? Well, you've got to talk to Fiona and Mark and possibly myself. People can buy properties by themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Thousands of Australians do it, but buying the right property is key.
Especially if you've got the time to do it.
Yeah,
I have a lot of clients now that have buyer's agents because they haven't got time and they don't trust themselves. If it's not their job, they don't know.
That's right. And there's buyer's agents and there's buyer's agents. Wink.
Right.
And so what's so good about property versus shares or cash? The thing I love about property is the leverage. Just the fact that you can control that larger asset. You know what rent you're getting. You can add value to it within the rules, Mark. And so many more questions, but that's just a little snapshot of what I've done personally. And when you're working with advisors, you've got to ask them, how do they get paid and where do they invest their own money? Not are they just trying to push a product onto you? I think that's very, very key as well.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for that, Paul.
Thanks
for your insight and your it's great to have you as a case study because you're doing exactly what so many people that are here today want to know. Do I use the money in my super? And I love the idea that you can purchase a property in your super and own a property and not have to spend a cent from your pay at all. You can still go on your holiday and get your $400 a week shopping, and it's not going to make a difference because it comes out of your super and the rent as well.
I don't know if Mark gets this question, but I used to get it all the time. When you tell people strategies like this, they say, is this legal?
You know what, I said, Paul, I'm actually going to add on, if I've still got time for you.
Yeah, we're doing well for time, actually. We've been talking so fast that we can fit it in.
To the people who are watching this, you know, what we've heard, and obviously I don't want to steal Paul's thunder, but you can see how he's been able to, one, diversify across the different asset classes to give himself the best, financial future that he can possibly do. And he's mixed it very nicely with property and shares plus cash. So I'd say, I'm not stealing your thunder, but I think you've done well.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I do well for my clients too, as do you.
So now we know that with self-managed super funds, there are lots and lots of questions. So what we've done is we've done some research and we've found the hottest questions to ask. Okay, so Mark, this is over to you. All right. Now, what are the differences? What are the key differences between an SMSF and other types of super funds in Australia?
Oh, that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it. What you can also do, Fiona, if you scroll down one, I've done a bit of a PowerPoint, but it just shows a representation of what a normal industry type super fund will look like, but also what an SMSF can do for you. So to come back to Fiona's question, a normal super fund is going to give you the ability to have super invested in maybe a limited type of investment funds that they have chosen for you by an investment committee in the super fund, as well as some limited insurance products, possibly life insurance and total and permanent disability. So you're not going to get the full realm of investment choices. That you're probably going to get a limited choice of investments to invest into.
Yeah.
And with insurance, probably going to get a very limited or not even insurance, depending on the balance of your super fund. Now, let's compare that against the self-managed super fund. So for those investors who are eligible to get a self-managed super fund, one, you're going to be able to get a full suite of investment choices. So that can be shares, managed funds, property, as well as other investment classes that you can invest through your self-managed super fund. On top of that, insurance, you'll have the full suite of services like your life insurance, your TPD.
Oh, that comes out of your super, right?
That's correct.
I've got that, yeah.
Your income protection,
yeah,
and even critical illness. So what you do get is, again, what I said early on, you are going to get a super fund that's going to allow you to be able to have the freedom, the ability to be able to manage, and the ability to be able to have those different assets inside your self-managed, as well as also a comprehensive insurance to protect yourself. So on that note, I'd said that certainly gives us a bit of idea of the differences between a retail fund versus a self-managed.
You know, before I was in finance and I had any idea about SMSF, I just thought that you use the money from your super to purchase a property and the money just sits in your super like it's a bank account, but it's not. It's actually on the market. It's on the stock market. There's shares and you're investing the money, which is great.
Look, and a lot of people, I mean, Fiona, that's not an abnormal assumption. A lot of people think that that's all their funds would do is just sit there and not be invested.
And it doesn't. So you can also get good returns.
You can.
Not from the property itself. Okay,
That's
so we're going to keep moving. So, my next question was going to be what can an SMSF hold, but you just said all those things, right? The shares and the insurances and all of that, which is great. This is a good question, guys. Can I access my SMSF savings before retirement? And under what circumstances can early access be granted?
It is a very common question, and it's a question I get a lot. It's a tough one when people come and ask me that question, because you don't want to say no to them, but also at the same time, we have to reiterate why superannuation was formed in the first place. And it's set up so that it can give you the best retirement future, so that when you retire, it will have that savings there that you've been committed to since you started working.
Yep.
But coming back to your question, Fiona,
Yeah.
in limited situation, you can access superannuation. Now, these are situations that you'd have to apply under financial hardship.
Okay.
You'd have
Sickness?
to
Can you do
sickness.
sickness?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you would have to apply under those categories to be able to access those funds earlier than
Is this
the
the-
condition of release.
Is this the same as an SMSF fund and a superannuation
That's
fund?
correct.
Exactly the same way.
That's right. So
Okay.
what Fiona is saying is exactly a very good question, because just because it's a self-managed super fund, it is no different to a retail fund.
Yeah. Okay.
The rules still apply.
Okay. So it can be granted, but there needs to be either sickness or financial hardship,
That's correct.
and that's it.
There's also compassionate grants. So I'd say that needs to be applied for.
Okay. And is there a minimum age that you can, or it doesn't matter how old you are
You can apply for it
at any point? So
That's correct.
someone could be 35
and apply.
and apply.
It's not easy to get accepted because the sole purpose of the superannuation is for your retirement savings.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
There's a lot of
It's a-
hoops to jump through, I imagine.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So what are the key responsibilities of SMSF trustees?
And this is an important one. I'd say not only is it important for the investors, the members, the trustees to understand this question, but it's so important that when getting yourself into a self-managed super fund, and I really wrote this to a lot of my clients, it's one, you need to manage it. But again, with the help of a financial planner,
Yeah.
that can be light in the load.
Yeah.
You need to obviously keep records accurate,
Yeah.
tax obligations.
Pay your bills.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And obviously manage it so that for the sole purpose of increasing your retirement so that you can comfortably retire one day. So those are the responsibilities.
I think it's really important when you have your own self-managed super fund that you like this with your planner, because he's the one that's going to tell you the things that are coming up and update you on all the numbers, and you're going to have a relationship for years, right? You do the
Exactly.
auditing and all of that stuff over time.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Okay, now we're coming. I'm so excited that, well, I get excited about everything. You probably know that. But we're doing really well for time. So we've got a couple more questions. We're supposed to finish at 8:30, so I kind of meant that little glitch at the start just because you didn't have much to say. I'm kidding. We've got so much to say, but we've kind of narrowed it down, which is good. Now, a couple more questions, and these are the key questions for tonight. So can I use my SMSF to buy a property to live in? Now, and what are the other penalties for these, Mark?
Yeah, again, this is a popular question, and definitely, Fiona, you probably picked up the most sourced answered popular questions that people love to ask.
Yeah, I want to buy it for my daughter. I don't think so. I don't think so.
So again, we go back to answered why superannuation was designed in the first place. The sole purpose is to give you a retirement savings in the future, and hence the reason why we can't live in your investment property.
Never, ever, ever.
That's it.
You can never, ever, ever live inside an investment property. You know, I had a client about 12 years ago that bought a property in super and then fell into hardship. And then they moved into that property and they were chasing them. All the ASIC and everyone was after them and they were freaking out. I've never seen anyone so anxious in my life. So don't do it, guys. It's not worth it. Not worth the stress. Completely not.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and the penalties are very high.
It is.
If they find out you break any of those rules, and people, even family cannot move into SMSF properties that you own, and you cannot either, any family. Okay, so how much, now another question, it's a big one that I get a lot. So how much money can I have in my super to purchase a property? Now, it started really high, but over time it's kind of come down. I like to recommend to my clients to have a minimum of 200K in your super if you can. Now, over the last 5 years, it's probably the amount of banks, the amount of lenders that support SMSF has probably trebled, actually. It used to only be the big four, but now they've stepped away, and there's so many other banks that have come into play now. It used to be maybe 3 or 4, and now it's not even, maybe 2.5 times. Maybe there's like 10 banks now. Of course, some have really high rates, like there are different banks. And it used to be your liquidity. You used to have a lot of money in your super to start off. So it was around 200, but now it's maybe around 180. You can think about doing that. And even if it's a little bit less, then just wait a little bit or work out with your financial planner to build up your shares to increase your value, and then you can do it then, because you don't want to be stuck with no money in your super. It's just the worst idea ever. This is another strategy. This is to diversify and to build your wealth in different ways.
And it also depends on if you're, if you're starting the self-managed super fund to buy a property, then, there's borrowing limits there. So, like, if it was a $500,000 property, say, or a $600,000 property, you really only need $120,000 deposit.
So for 500K, to buy 500K.
Well, $100,000 in deposit, and then some costs, maybe 30 or 35,000. But I think, and Mark might have a perspective on this. The reason that it was touted around that you need 500,000. It was because the government stuck their nose in and said, well, the break-even point on fees to actually manage a super fund, you might as well be in retail unless you've got 500,000 or more. But the cost of running a super fund have shrunk. But also there's other licensees and things that don't want to take compliance risks, so they say no. Well, we want our clients to have a minimum of 500,000. But
that's true.
Good planners like Mark say, well, like, why wait if you can control that larger asset base? That's my read on it.
No, look, both of you are correct. I said when I talk to my clients, I do like to help them get into an SMSF with an approximate of about 200K to start the SMSF. And one, especially if they're going to be looking at getting investments like property, it helps them to be able to have your costs not be outweighing in terms of your SMSF going forward. So having that balance, I'd said minimally, I would say about 200 plus would be a good start.
It's probably a good number, I think.
It is, but like you mentioned, I mean, there are balances that can be a little less than 200, but then obviously do work with your financial planning in terms of having a super strategy to increase that balance as you go forward.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing is, hang on a second. When we say 200K, it's not for one person; it's combined. Okay. So you can each one partner can have 80K and the other one can have 120. You can have 3 people and purchase a property in your super. You could have 5, a family. You can have up to 6 members to purchase a property in super. You can create your one. We are the Sexy 6 superannuation fund, and that's what you can call it.
Yeah,
and
so it opens up to siblings, and I mean, it gets a bit complex, as Mark would know, from multi-generations, but husband and wife is probably the most common that I see.
No, I agree. I mean, I'd say those are the ones that I see the most, is husband and wife. But we are starting to see a lot more intergenerational. So you've seen families come in and set up the SMSF, and just like you pointed out, you've got 6 of them all there and putting their combined forces together, which we've seen a lot more.
Which is a leverage play.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good. So, of course, I was going to bring up the slide of how much it costs to set up an SMSF, but I can't find it, and it doesn't matter because you know what? We've gone this far, and I think we've done all right, guys.
Yeah,
we've kind of killed it.
Credit to you, Fiona, for wrestling this stupid computer machine.
Yeah. So we're going to ask Mark now. Everybody, when you think about setting up a self-managed super fund, you think, oh my Lord, how much is this going to cost? Okay, you think it costs $4,000, $7,000, $10,000. There are so many different numbers I've heard over the years of setting up an SMSF, right? Because of course you need a statement of advice as well, don't you? So Mark, can you tell us, and I did have a slide, we don't need, we can just talk, because that's what we're doing, we're having a conversation, right? We're not going to die. There's no death by PowerPoint happening here today, people. So Mark, tell us, what's the deal?
Yeah, again, this is one of those favorite questions that I get almost on the first meeting.
Oh yeah,
Mark,
everyone's worried.
Exactly, and look, I don't blame them. They want to know, they want to be able to almost to know what they're going to put themselves into, and knowing the cost up front is going to help them to be able to better position themselves, whether they actually proceed with the self-managed super fund
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
So I said, I do have a slide. I said, but what I'll do is, I said, I'll explain to you, I said, the fee structure of what that slide would have showed you. I normally would itemize it so it will have the financial advisor's fee, it will have the accountant's fee, plus it will have what I said, call administration fees. Those are your bank accounts, your admin fees that apply to the SMSF. In total, I'd said, oh, Fiona's just brought it up. There you go. Yeah, and you scroll to the bottom. Scroll to the bottom.
I
Yeah.
tried to get to the bottom before.
I think
but
that
it's
was
blank.
the combined one. You've got to do the mark one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay. So basically, I'd said when we totaled up the fees, you're looking at about just under $4,000. I'd said to be able to get your self-managed super fund set up. And that includes the accountant's fees there. Oh, thank you.
I found it. I'm so excited. Now I just got to get back here and share. Oh, okay.
So I'd said once Fiona shares the slide, you'll be able to see, I'd said the breakup or the itemized costing of what I've been able to talk about.
Yeah,
and that will give you an understanding of how much it will cost you, I'd say, going forward.
But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will give you an idea of what my cost, what the accountants would charge in terms of getting the tax return and audit done, together with the account that your SMSF funds will be held in.
Okay, so is this to set it up, or is this because when you have a self-managed super fund, you get audited every year, so you need to do this every year annually. Okay, so these fees that we're looking at. What is that? Is that a one-off, or are they every year you pay this amount? And of course, it comes from the super. No one comes from the hip pocket. But is that how much it costs to set up?
It does, and it's also as you can see on the right-hand side, I put the ongoing.
Yeah.
So that's the type of cost that you're going to be looking at when setting up a self-managed super fund.
Yeah.
Because your
Which
tax
is really reasonable, Paul. Do you think so as well?
Yeah, I've got a few comments here, if that's all right. Sure. I think to spend $4,000 on setting up your own future and having an advice partner and to control double or triple the amount of assets from your starting point and to do that for around $4,000 a year is extremely good value. The thing that Mark won't tell you, but I will, is because I've been in and around financial planning and fees and dealer groups and managed funds and all this sort of stuff for years. And you know that you're quite often paying $8,000 or $9,000 a year in fees or hidden fees that you don't know about. There's platform fees, there's management expense ratios, there's the planner fee. It all adds up, and so there's shelf fees on certain products.
I know it to be a lot higher than that.
So you might think that you're getting fee-free advice if you're in an industry fund or something like that, but really if you look under the bonnet, a lot of these $200,000 or $300,000 balances, Mark, from my experience, and I could be wrong, like you can correct me if things have changed, but clients are quite often paying, $6,000 to $9,000 worth of fees.
No, you're quite right, Paul. Yeah. You're definitely right. I mean, just like what Paul said, if you pull up that bonnet and I've seen a lot of, when I do the review of my clients' super funds, they are paying in excess of that, and they are unfortunately just in an industry fund.
Oh, really? Why are they spending that much in the industry? That's like Hostplus. I'm with Hostplus.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, look, Fiona, meet Mark, Fiona.
How are you? I think we need to talk.
I think you need to talk too.
I don't understand why they're paying so much to be in a industry super fund, like $4,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and those statements are really difficult to read too. They're a nightmare.
Yeah. So basically, what we're saying, it costs $3,000 from the. It's not, the screen's not up there now. Didn't want to use that slide anymore. I'm joking. I lost it. That's all right. So it was $3,860 per year, every year, comes out of the super. But ordinarily, I've had clients who have set up their super $7,000, $8,000.
Yeah.
to set up a super, to set up an SMSF fund,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
quite
4,000
normal.
every, 4,000 is kind of standard
Yeah, it's that's
to do it every
yeah, that's
year.
very normal.
Those prices might shift, but that
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you've got 300,000 in
It's what you
crypto
need,
or
right?
$2 million in property.
Yeah.
Like you don't care what the assets are, you're charging a fee for your service.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And he's keeping an eye on everything as well,
Yeah.
making sure everything's compliant,
That's cool.
which is very important. So, okay, beautiful. So, and that includes the annual audits. That's very important. Yes. So, does that mean you work with the accountant
That's
as
correct.
well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd say just to elaborate a little bit more on that part,
Yeah.
because the accountants are going to have to do the tax return, and if there's a good relationship between the financial advisor and the accountant, it makes life a lot easier for the investor, the member,
Yeah.
trustee
Yeah.
of the SMSF.
Yeah.
That is one less thing for them to worry about in terms of the compliance and the managing of the SMSF.
It's true. You need a team, right? So, okay. So, one great resource that I found for all things financial, which it has so many things on there. It's the ASIC Money Smart website. So I do recommend it. It has it's great for budgeting, for planning, and also super retirement projections. Okay, so put your numbers in there and find out how much when you retire, how much you'll have, because maybe it is time to get a property in your super and try something different, right? So we're coming to a close.
I just want to back that up. That's one of the best websites.
The Money Smart.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you can go and you can do, a mortgage calculator, a compound interest calculator. The budgeting tool is fantastic because you can put either a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly thing in, and it'll spit it out the bottom.
Really great, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the few good resources that the government's provided us.
Stop it, Paul.
I can't help myself.
Okay, so lastly, people need what we've concluded from our little get together today is people need a trusted team around them when you're structuring, buying, and finding a property for your super. Okay. Now, there are three components, and there's three components. Oh my God, there's three components right here, right?
Oh, hello.
So,
Yui, Dewey, and Louie.
So you need a mortgage broker you can trust.
The
Process of finding the right SMSF loan for you, because there are different kinds of loans. There is interest only. It's rarely fixed. There's variable. There's higher rates, lower, like for different reasons, like a home loan. You've got to find the one that works for you, right? Then a financial planner or an accountant to set up your fund and arrange the structure of the fund. And then you come over to a property advisor that has the knowledge and experience to help you find the perfect property.
Well, if you want to engage. Plenty of people try and do it themselves, but you've got to be careful not just to be sold on a property too. And I've seen many.
Oh, by heart, you mean with your heart, rather than with your head.
Or people have schemes out there where they're making outrageous commissions. I don't know, Mark, if you've got any stories, but we won't throw names around, but you really do need to set your BS meter and do your own research. But yeah, I mean, the property advisor, I might be shooting myself in the foot, is optional. I mean, some people set up self-managed super funds and then just go crypto crazy or whatever. But yeah, for the purpose of this discussion, yeah, you need me.
Yeah, basically. So, and look at that, guys, 10 minutes to spare. So I'll see if we have some questions here in the chat, which I think we might. We're in. Oh, yay. Welcome, guys. Welcome. That's exciting. Okay. A lot of them are saying we can't hear. We can't. Everyone's here. Everyone heard us, so that's good. How do non-concessional contributions, what does it constitute? So we said that, right? Non-concessional contributions are your voluntary savings, your voluntary money that you put into the super, right?
Yeah, I might just touch on that. Mervyn, did you want me to elaborate on that non-concessional? Mervyn, if you're still in the room.
Mervyn, you there?
Yeah.
Yes. Would you like us to elaborate?
So it's only extra money from some investment that you have, right? Not like on top of your salary sacrifice.
Salary sacrifice. Yeah.
So did you get that?
Yeah. Can you say that again? Sorry, we can't hear you.
So non-concessional contributions are not the same as salary sacrifice.
Wait, we're just speaking.
Sorry, Mervyn, I'm just speaking the audio.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mervyn.
So my question is, non-concessional contribution is not the same as salary sacrifice.
It's not the same, Mervyn.
Okay.
Salary sacrifice will fall under the concessional contributions, and non-concessional is obviously after tax contribution.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Mervyn?
Yeah, so the non-concessional contributions are from your investment, right?
Non-concessional can be from your own money, if that's what you mean, or it can be investments that you've got outside of super that you want to put into super. Does that make sense, or did you want me to?
Sort of, if I have an extra money, should I put it in a non-concessional contribution and not a salary sacrifice?
Yeah. So he's saying if he's got extra money in his, if he gets extra money and he wants to add it to his super as a voluntary contribution, can he do it as salary sacrifice? Is that what you mean, Mervyn?
Yeah. Should I put it as non-concessional or as a salary sacrifice?
Can you do that or not? Okay, so what he's saying is salary. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mervyn, but what he's saying is he wants to pay extra money into his super on top of his employer contributions. And he's saying, can he salary sacrifice so it comes out of his wage without him paying tax on it? Or is the voluntary one that you add extra, do you pay tax on that regardless? I think you do, don't you?
Well, it's up to the limit. It's up to that $30,000 limit.
Yeah.
Oh, so anything above the $30,000 limit, Mervyn, you have to pay normal tax on. So whether you can't do salary sacrifice on that, then can you?
Yeah. So Mervyn, there's a limit on concessional contributions, which I think you're asking me, and that limit is 30,000. And then the non-concessional is 120,000. So you can put that money as a non-concessional, because you do have that limit, which is a lot higher than the concessional. Does that help you?
Mark can give you a call as well, Mervyn, to clear, just to make it clear for you, if you like. You happy to do that, Mark?
Definitely, yeah.
Now we have a great question from Teresa. Are there any limitations to what properties you can purchase or when you need to sell?
I think that's a
Paul?
It's pretty open. If you're looking to build something, it's got to be a simple contract. I don't play in that space for about 100 reasons, but there's no great limitations.
It's really properties. So you can't buy childcare centres. You can't buy brothels.
You can't run a business. You can't run a business, and there is limitations on things you can do to properties in your super depending on the borrowing arrangement.
You can't do construction loans in super.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to keep the property for the use that it's intended. So you can't do a 3-dwelling subdivision if you've got borrowed money against the super. But that's something where you really need advice. But generally, you can buy commercial properties. You can buy units, townhouses, standalone houses.
Yeah. So the next question from Teresa: if the rent does not cover the loans, what is the process to top up the mortgage repayments each month? So if the rent doesn't cover it and your contributions don't cover it, then you just got to come up with more.
That's correct.
More non-concessional contributions to.
Well, no, I challenge that.
Okay, hit me.
Well, when I bought my 2 properties, I still had another 80 grand left in there. Plus, your boss is putting money into your super.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just comes out of the cash account in the superannuation fund. It's
okay, so you just have your account.
It's its own little ecosystem. Okay. Yeah, like you've got your boss's money going in. You've got cash in there. You might have rent going in there. If there is a shortfall, like my first property was $400 a month shortfall, it just came out of the cash account. There was plenty of money sitting in there. And I think, Fiona, I don't know if all lenders now have liquidity measures, but you can't you can't go and tap yourself out. The banks want to see that you've got that 20 or 30,000 left over, so that you're not struggling. Yeah, the last thing you want to do with a strategy like property and super is get yourself into stress or cash flow stress. That's not the name of the game.
Yeah, that's true. So we have another question from Mervyn. Where is it? And then it's nearly 8:30. So there you go. Let's see. Can SMSF Oh no, this one here. With properties bought under SMSF, this cannot be taxed as primary residence. We've already answered that one, so we know that. And the 6-year rule, no capital gains tax if the sale price will be used to buy another property. I don't know what that is about.
That's outside of, well.
Oh, it's outside of
You want me to
super.
take that?
No.
Yeah. Outside of super, if you move from your principal residence and you don't buy another family home, you go and rent, then you sell what was your family home, you can sell it capital gains tax free within 6 years, and then it's prorated, is my understanding. Not qualified to give this any advice on this. But within super, as I mentioned in my little slides, if you're in retirement phase, it's capital gains tax free. And if you're not, you'll just pay a flat 10%, 2/3 of the 15% SMSF, the superannuation. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a message here from Brent. Can all establishment costs be paid for out of the super? 100%. 100%.
Brilliant question.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Yep.
Thanks, Brent.
Yeah, woo!
Yeah.
Paul, this is for you. At a very high level answer, would commercial property or residential property be a better option in your experience? Oh, which one? One or the other?
Right. For me, some people, a commercial property, the most common is when you've got tradies or business owners that are buying a property for them to run their business out of. So they're their own tenants. Yeah. What people are attracted to in commercial properties is the rental yield and all the expenses being paid for by the tenant. But the thing I don't like about it is you need bigger deposits, and you're in partnership with a business owner. Now, not every business, particularly as we've seen over the last few years, needs to operate out of a premises. And I've got contacts and friends and clients that have got commercial properties that have been sitting vacant for quite a while. Now, that's not to say that it's not an okay investment over the long term, but it can really hurt you. People don't need a business to operate out of, or a premises to operate a business out of. People do need somewhere to sleep. Right, yeah. Food, clothing, shelter.
Okay, so you're saying
I'm saying resi, and the other thing with resi is you only need a 20% deposit, and if you're buying in the right area with a rental demand, you'll do right. It's a safer option, much safer option.
Yeah, cool.
In my opinion.
Yeah, Ruby raised a good question. Can I buy a commercial property and run the business from that premises? You can.
Absolutely.
People have done it. Yeah, you can, Ruby.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm looking. We've got 3 cameras here. I'm like, which one are you on? One,
They're up there.
Yeah,
okay.
up there. Up there.
Right.
Hi, guys. Yeah, so yes, you can, Ruby. You can do that. And can, this is from Teresa. Can an SMSF be set up in one person's name only, or does it need to be multiple persons to set up in the trust?
Yeah, so Ruby, good question.
No, not Ruby. This is Teresa.
Oh, sorry.
And Teresa's up there.
Okay. Hi, Teresa. Teresa, good question. It can be set up with one person's name.
Yeah. Can be one.
That's what I've done.
Yeah.
In one person's name. Yeah, definitely. As long as you've got the right amount in there, you're fine. No problemo. So that's all of our questions, guys. There was one question about offset. With using SMSF, can an offset account be can there be one? There's so many yeses and nos for having an offset in your super. Some banks do it, most of them don't. There are a couple that do. It just means it's a lot more easily accessible than they don't like that, right?
Well, it just depends on the bank, and then it comes down to your strategy as well. That's where collaborating with, the right broker who knows credit policy, which Fiona does, and the right financial planner, accountant, or someone like myself can be very, very worthwhile.
Now, can I just say that it's 8:30. It's 8:30. 8:31, and we've smashed it. We've killed it, guys. We've done it. We got through everything. I'm sorry if you missed a few minutes at the start. It was just the intros, and that's Paul, that's Mark, and I'm Fiona. So how you doing?
Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions before we disappear? Because we did say from 7 until 8:30.
Well, before we disappear, I'm just going to hijack the meeting for a second.
Okay,
and Aleka, could you come in here, please? We would like to thank Fiona for setting this up. She has done this with there you go. They smell pretty good too, don't they? Yeah, I picked them myself.
Amazing.
I just want to be clear to whoever's watching, and maybe there's a recording, that this information is being done, driven by Fiona and her team but it's been done with a very generous spirit. I think you could hopefully it comes through that it's not a sell job, and I'm very honoured to be here. So thank you to you both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sweet guys, I'm touched. I don't know what to say. But, thanks, guys. It's just, and I feel really thankful to have these professionals by my side to help me with you guys. Yeah, that's it. We did everything. I'm sorry there was a bit of a kerfuffle at the start.
We'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one, no problem. And you know, guys, we are recording this session. Hopefully that's one of the buttons I pushed at the start. So if you know anyone that does want this recording, if you have any questions, I might give you, whoever attended today, I'll give you a call anyway, to see if you need help with anything. But if you need a great property found, then you come to Paul. He's working with a couple of my clients at the moment, to help them find property. And it's not in super. It doesn't have to be in super. It's just a standard investment property, right?
Yeah, just want to grow a portfolio.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have a chat with anyone.
Yeah. And Mark works with many of my clients. And these are the two people that I trust. As I said, you need to find a trusted team when you want to purchase an investment property, because you need them to have your back and to make sure that you're doing the right thing and you have the support. So that's it from us, guys. 8:33. God, I'm so punctual. It's just crazy. We're punctual to end.
Over and
So,
out.
anyway, guys.
And there may be some outtakes. You had got no idea what was happening behind the scenes.
That's so funny.
It was great fun. Yeah.
And lots of flowers. Beautiful. Woo! Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Bye.
See ya.
How do I switch it off?
I don't know.
Here we go. Bye.
There we go. In meeting.